United States. I'm going to Brazil on Sunday. It's a big deal for me. I've never been to South America, and they're having a translator. I'm going to go on a 7-city tour speaking. They have a translator coming with me to, I think they're getting the guy from the Mandela funeral. I'm not sure. Something is going to be, we'll see how it works out. I never had a translator before, but, you know, actually I was in San Francisco at a Russian synagogue, and a few people spoke English, the rest were Russians. And I had a Russian translator. It's the only time I ever had a interpreter, I should say. And I got up there and I said, you know, it's a pleasure to be here. And he gets up and goes, Nishniev, Nishniev. So it's okay. And some guy yells from the audience, and the other guy yells at him, and they're screaming and yelling. I'm just standing there. And I said, what happened? He said, well, he didn't like the way he translated that. And he said he should be quiet. And he said, you be quiet. And I said, what was the wrong with the way he translated? He said, it would ruin the pacing. I said, this is helping the pacing? So we'll see how the Portuguese works out. So looking forward to that. And then I just got called yesterday to go to Stockholm, Sweden. So, but apparently they speak English there, so we're going to do well. So it's a pleasure. I travel all over, and one of the great things is not just speaking, but afterwards I do get to schmooze and meet a lot of people. So, you know, don't run away so fast. I like to say hello to everybody and see what's going on in this neck of the woods and get a chance to meet you. One of the things about traveling so much, I have to say, I don't have a fear of speaking. You know, a lot of people in your different lines of work have to get up and speak before people, and some people are nervous about it, some people are better, some people are worse, and I love talking about speaking also. But I don't have a fear of speaking, although you should always be a little, you know, a little nervous before you get up. But I do have a fear, and I thought I'd tell you what my fear is before we begin. I have a little problem with flying. Now, if you're going to run around the world to 70 Jewish communities and 5,000 different synagogues, you better get over that real quick. So when I started doing this, I went to my older brother, who's a big business guy, he flies all over the world. I asked him for advice. You know, how do I get on the plane? So he said something to me very inspirational. I thought I'd share it with you. Some of you might be helpful. He said, when it's your time, it's your time. Now, I don't know if it was really very helpful, but I did sit on the plane the first time saying, well, it's your time, it's your time, it's your time. Then it occurred to me, what if it's not my time? But it's the time of the guy sitting next to me. So I fly, Baruch Hashem, poo-poo, kaka, all the big ones. I fly in, and you know what? It's been great, everything's fine, except for last summer, I was flying from New York to Los Angeles. 2 hours into the flight, like a 5.5 hour, 2 hours into the flight, pilot gets on and he says, I'm sorry to report there was a major malfunction with this aircraft. And I'm like, okay, this is it. This is how it's going to be. This is how it's going down. I've been waiting for this my whole life. And I start to imagine what's going to happen. You know, I'm going to lose air, the mask's going to come down, you know, I'm going to grab it. And you should have an imagination if you're going to fly. And then I start breathing in extra air, so I'll have more for later, you know, it doesn't work. So anyway, finally he gets back on and he says, the problem with this aircraft is that all the toilets are broken. And the whole plane goes, ah! And I'm like, Baruch Hashem, thank God. So we land in Denver, Colorado. Which, by the way, I've never been there before, never been back, but that's where they fix airplane toilets. If you've ever been on a plane, JetBlue, Denver. They go there and they did a good job. Not to belabor the point because I'm speaking about something else today, but they take us all out, put us at the gate, and everything's about the information age today. They keep announcing over the whole speakers in the airport, Gate 27, we're flushing, we're heating, we're scraping, Gate 27, we're now coming in with a blah. And I finally walked over to them and said, do you have to share our business with the whole airport? So I fly and I thought that would be my last airplane story. But the day before Rosh Hashanah this year, I'm flying from Chicago to New York. Nothing flight, it was an hour, right? Chicago to New York, I'm flying, and the weather here has been terrible, including today, starting from the day before Rosh Hashanah. Right. And we were flying, we got up in the air, we're circling, bad weather, and we run out of gas. So we land in Syracuse, New York to refuel. If you're ever on a plane and you don't need gas, Syracuse, New York, of course the last time I was there, they have a great gas station. So we refuel, we get back up in the air, and we're circling. By the way, I happen to be an aisle seat guy. I like a good aisle seat. I used to be a window seat. I've grown since then. I'm an aisle seat guy. I don't know about you. So I like to stretch out my leg in the aisle and have the flight attendant hit it as she goes by. You know. And if you're an aisle seat guy, by the way, you should remember the mitzvah. You have to turn to the person in the middle seat And the window seat, and always say to them, if you have to go, I'll get up, it's okay. I mean, it's a nice thing, nice little thing to do. You let them know. I even tell them if I'm sleeping, just tap me on the shoulder, I'll get up. Nobody should be in any pain for, what they have to go to the bathroom. So I always do that. It's a nice thing to do, I recommend. Of course, I always get stuck with these guys who have like foul bowel syndrome or something. They're always going up and going and up and... So on this flight from Chicago to New York, I don't get the aisle seat. I get that middle, in Yiddish they call it the mitten drinnen seat, that middle seat. And nobody wants the, if you ever meet somebody who wants the middle seat, stay away from that. So I get the middle seat. And by the way, if you get the middle seat, little public service announcement, you get both armrests. Don't let those two tell you anything different, they got skin in the game. So I'm sitting there like that. And who's sitting in the aisle seat? An Arab Muslim. Well, no problem, I got to practice my Arabic on him, it was good, we had a good time. Who was in the window seat? A Rastafarian. But a real Rastafarian, like one of these Jewish blonde guys from Long Island. I'm talking a Rastafarian, the guy with prior to reaching maximum elevation, he was there already. Arabic I speak, this I don't know. So there we are, and they're giving out, the flight attendants are giving out, because we're circling for so many hours the whole day, they're giving out drinks, oranges, Coca-Cola, finally the Arab has to piss. So he goes to the bathroom, runs down the aisle, a Chabad rabbi, in a panic, stops at my aisle, recognizes me, I don't know who he was, recognizes me, because the old Chabad know me, I'm like the Howie Mandel of Chabad. Deal or no deal, right? They were going to actually do a Chabad deal or no deal with me starring, the whole different Jew. It wasn't deal or no. They were going to call it, are you going to buy that or are you wasting my time? So, anyway, so he stops in my aisle and he says to me, I have a problem. So, what's the matter? He says, I'm flying from Chicago to New York the day before Rosh Hashanah just to go to the Lubavitcher Chabad Rebbe's grave in Queens, holy place people go to pray, and I was going to go put my tefillin on and pray there. But now the whole day has gone by. I'm going to miss putting tefillin on, which I can't. I don't know what to do. I can't stand up because of the bad weather. And if I start praying, people are going to say, what are you doing? I can't talk once I start praying. I don't know what to do. I said, you came to the right place. Go get your tefillin. Bring it back here. Anybody bothers, I'll take care of it. Go, knock yourself out. He goes running back to the seat, brings back the tefillin, about to put it on. The flight attendant comes running over. What are you doing? Are you okay? What is that? And then the Arab Muslim comes back to the seat, and he's a Hasidic Jew standing at a seat with boxes. He doesn't want to... Even the Rastafarian looked up for a minute. So I decided to lighten things up, and I said, he's taking his spiritual blood pressure. They don't laugh. Except for the Rastafarian, but he was staring at a cloud, and I don't think that counts. So I said, listen, he's got these Jewish magic boxes, he's going to say one prayer, the weather's going to clear up, and we can land this plane. And the flight attendant said, go ahead. Even the Arab was like, go. So he puts the tefillin on, he says the bracha, he says the blessing on the tefillin. I said, Amen! The pilot gets on, apparently the weather was cleared up, please prepare for landing. The flight attendant says, well, that worked. The Arab was like, I've never seen such a thing in my life. And of course, the Rastafarian, the rest of the trip, he was like, ooh. So, I fly. One of the things about flying, except for getting these great stories, is that I'm away from, one of the not so great things, is that I'm away from family. So I'm away from my son and daughter are in New York. My wife is a teacher. She teaches 10 preschool autistic children in Boca Raton, Florida. So I just saw her yesterday. But usually I'm away, and sometimes she travels with me, but I'm away. And so it's always difficult being away from family. Yesterday actually was my daughter's birthday, and I went to New York just to celebrate her birthday. She turned 19. And she's actually at a Chabad yeshiva, a girls' seminary. She's very proud of her. But she didn't start there. She was actually at a Jewish day school in Suffolk County, Long Island. I don't know if you know Long Island at all. There's two counties in Long Island. There's Nassau County and there's Suffolk County. Nassau County is like Jerusalem, with Great Neck and 5 towns, And Suffolk County is like Kentucky. So, now, I thank you for laughing, because when I said that in Kentucky, whatever. So I had to put her in the public school. I didn't know what to do. You know, the Hamish Jewish school was so nice. Now I'm going to put her in public school. I didn't know what's going to happen there. So the first day of public school, I decided to go pick her up. I'm not going to let her take the big bad school bus. She gets in the back seat, this little pixel gets in the back seat of the car. I ask her that question every Jewish parent asks their kids when they want to know what's going on. I said, no. And she said, there are 3 Christians in my class. What? Who told you that? The teacher. The teacher told you there were 3? Yeah. The teacher told you the whole class. The teacher told the whole class. The teacher stood in front of the room and said there are 3 Christians in the class. Yeah. Did the teacher say how many Jews or Hindus or Muslims? No. Whatever it was, I knew it was anti-Semitic. So I said, I'm calling the teacher, I'm calling the principal, I'm calling Abe Foxman, I have his phone number in my cell phone. This is it, I'm not standing for this. And she says, what are you getting so upset about? My teacher said there are 3 boys in the class who all have the same name, Christian. So why do I tell you this, aside from the fact that you know that my family have absolutely no communication skills, we have no idea what we're saying to each other. I know your family, everybody talks to each other, they know what they're saying. But the real reason I tell you is because tonight I may bring up the words anti-Semitism. And I just want to start out by saying, not everything is anti-Semitic. Sometimes the 3 boys in the class are named Christian, don't worry about it. Sometimes a Jew can be driving along the Long Island Expressway wearing a yarmulke, driving 100 miles an hour, and the cops pull him over. And maybe it was 100 miles an hour, not the yarmulke. I'm just saying, you know. I did fight it, I was in court for 2 weeks, but... So, why am I running around the world and what am I talking about? Sure, something happened at the White House I'll mention to you. But ultimately, it's a story about you. It's a story about you and you. And if you have something to tell that involves you, people that are coming, it makes a difference in their life because we're involved in our own life. And then they tell other people, and then sure enough, I have to go to Sweden and Brazil. So, it's about you, but it's about you and something very specific, a thing called hashgacha pratit, some say hashgacha pratis, and in English it's even worse, divine providence. What's divine providence? It means that God's involved in like Russia and Israel and the United States and the world, but He's also involved in the minutiae details of your life. How could that possibly? Somehow Google can figure that out while He's figuring out yours. If Google can do it, God can do it too. After all, God and Al Gore invented Google. So I figure if anybody here could get up, and as we get older, it's a longer story, could get up and tell about our life and how I was going this way, and maybe the hand of God moved and helped this way or this way. Maybe there was some relationship that was moving the little divine providence. Today's my day to tell my story. May 2010, I sat in my office at home in Long Island staring at my computer screen. And it's a funny thing, if you turn off Facebook for just a minute, you know what you see? You see your face. Staring at my face, saying, who are you? What do you want to do with your life? I've done a number of things since then. I was a filmmaker, I was a conservative rabbi for 20 years, I was a writer. But I sat there and think, I want to do something now. You know, every time you just want to transform yourself. When I go to college campuses, the kids run around all day long at college campuses. I go to hundreds of these college campuses. They run, what's my major? What do I want to do? What's my major? What do I want to do? What's my major? I don't have the heart to tell them that 20, 30 years from now, they're still going to be walking around, what's my major? What do I want to do? I have no idea. And I was sitting there saying, what's my major? What do I want to do? What do I want to do? And I had just come back from Israel. And when I am on a plane in Israel, and there's a baby crying, and you're on the plane, and you hear the baby crying, it's not the baby, it's me. I cry when I leave her. I just left her Purim. And I was crying. Something happened. I love Israel. And I thought, I want to do something for Israel. Everybody's always beating up Israel, spitting and condemning Israel. The whole world must be this unbelievable place, except for Israel, if you watch the news. I want to do something to help Israel. And I came up with this brilliant idea. Now, I say brilliant in the American term. Wait, we have anybody from South Africa or Australia or England? Or good, I can speak English now. Thank you. So, I was just thinking, they use the word brilliant there very differently. I don't know. I was in England. You're from where are you from?
Port Washington.
Port Washington. You're just agreeing with me. Okay. So that'll be the end of the participatory part of the. So in England, actually, everything's brilliant there. They go, look at the rock. The rock on the ground in the mud is brilliant. Rabbi, you're brilliant. And you just said the rock was brilliant. Everything's brilliant. Everything's just brilliant there. So I don't know that. So I say American. By the way, I never tell jokes. I don't tell stories. But there was one joke I will tell. It reminded me. I was in Australia for 2 weeks. I met every Jew in Australia. I met them the first day, but I was there for 2 weeks. And every Jew told me a joke, and I'll save you the 17-hour, 20-hour trip there. I'll say the one joke that I thought was going to trip. An American walks off the curb in Australia, looks the wrong way. A car hits him. He winds up in the hospital in a cast, in a traction. He's lying there. He opens his eyes. He realizes he's on death's bed. He looks up at the Australian nurse and he says, "Did I come here to die?" And she says, "Oh no, you came here yes to die." So the Australians don't get it. They don't get it. They don't get it yes to die today. I always wait for that pause. It's about a 30-second, 5-second pause and everyone laughs. But anyway. So anyway, I came up with a brilliant idea as I sat in my office at home. I want to do something for Israel. What am I going to do for Israel? I'm going to ask one question with my camera to Jews. I'm going to go up to someone and say, "Any comments on Israel?" And one person's going to say, "Oh, the falafel is delicious." "Any comments on Israel?" Someone's going to say, "The archaeology is just fascinating." "Any comments on Israel?" And someone else is going to say, "Oh, the Masada is just so unbelievable." "Any comments on Israel?" "Oh, the Kotel, the Western Wall, is so spiritual." And I'm going to take all the answers to any comments on Israel, and I'm going to push that button on my keyboard, the one that says, "Make it go viral." You just push the button, it goes viral. So I'm going to push the button, and it's going to go viral. And everybody's going to see the beautiful answers on the falafel and everything about Israel, any comments on Israel, and everyone's going to love Israel. It's going to solve all of Israel's problems. That was my plan to do the rest of my life. So my wife came in my office, and she said, after hearing what my plan was, she said, "This is the plan? This is what you're doing?" I said, "Yeah, pretty much so." She said, "Is there dental? Anything? Money?" So while we were having that mature conversation, my son, who was all of 15 Pitzela, up in his room, he had just returned from the AIPAC convention, the American Israel Political Action. He was up in his room, he had streamed it live. Tony Blair, Netanyahu, Obama, only one streaming it live, the whole AIPAC. He's now up in his bedroom calling the White House. "Hi, this is," he gets a voicemail. "Hi, this is David Mesenoff. I'd like to come in 10 months to the White House to stream live the President Obama lighting the Hanukkah menorah at the White House on Hanukkah in 10 months. Can you please call me back? My number is David Mesenoff. Thank you." So they call him back. And they say, "Adam, we're a little confused. Do you mean you want to come in 10 months next year to Hanukkah at the White House? Or do you mean you want to come next week for Jewish Heritage Day at the White House?" And he said, "Next week for Jewish Heritage Day." It comes at as parents here, no kids, right? A very proud moment in a parent's life when your children finally learn how to lie correctly. Your whole life, don't lie, don't lie, don't lie. Bingo, 3 press passes to the White House. One press pass was my son had a website called Schmooze Point. He got that one. I had a website which is now a famous one called RabbiLive.com. At the time, I was streaming live prayer services for American Jewish soldiers in Iran, Iraq, and in Afghanistan on aircraft carriers and things like that for Jewish soldiers. And some very lazy Jews in Boynton Beach, Florida, were watching. You want to go to shul? Now they just watch it on the little computer. And the third press pass went to a friend of my son, the 6-foot-tall redhead kid who shouldn't be allowed in public places at any given time. So the 3 of us went down to Washington. And we get there, and I was still convinced of getting it. And by the way, kidding aside, it was a transitional part in my life. I was emotionally depressed, spiritually depressed, I was financially depressed. I didn't know what to do. But I thought, you know what? There's going to be Jews at the White House. Maybe I'll jumpstart my life with that question, any comments on Israel, and get them to ask and make it go viral and answer all the questions about the falafel and everything. This is a good place to do it. So I'll go start my life there. So we get down to Washington and they checked our bags, our cameras, our license, whatever. They let us into the gates of the White House. First place you go is into the briefing room, where Jay Carney and the president usually give a briefing. They were just at the time reporters setting up cameras. And we, of course, went to, stood in front of where the insignia was of the White House, and we took photographs as good tourists, and I did my Nixon imitation. And then I did the most important thing that I had to do, and that is call everybody I knew to tell them where I was nonchalantly. I'm at the White House today, Yeah, I'm very busy. I have to be here all day, Yeah, I'm at the White House. I can't make it to that meeting. I'm at the White House. What? There's no meeting? Well, I'm at the White House today. And as I'm mocking it up, telling everybody where I am, I look right out the window in the White House. I see, walk by, who's visiting the White House? Former President Bill Clinton. I'm like, whoa, it's Bill Clinton. I gotta go, it's Bill Clinton. I'm very busy. I go running out the door. Bill Clinton walks right in front of me, and I'm like, Bill Clinton! And he's very nice. He goes, And I go to the next guy, that's Bill Clinton! And he says, I know, I'm Joe Biden. So apparently, I also met Joe Biden. So, well, I saw him later on in the day. He does spend most of the day at the White House walking around going, I'm Joe Biden. So,